Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be reading my Kindle TBR, but specifically some thrillers that I've bought or downloaded. So before we get into the video, please remember to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. And let's get into the video. So for this one, I'm going to be reading 4 thriller books that I've either bought or downloaded onto my Kindle through Kindle Unlimited. So the first one that I've actually already read is The Teacher by Freida McFadden. Now, I know Freida McFadden gets a lot of hate, but I personally quite enjoy her. Do I think she's the best writer ever? No. The Housemaid is actually one of my favourite thrillers. It's kind of what got me into thrillers, I think. That or The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I think that she's a very, you know what you're going to get with her, and I think the formulaic writing is, for me, when I'm getting slumpy, I know I can pick up one of her books and I'm just going to whiz through the pages and just read them really quickly. It's not going to be the best thing I've ever read, but that's not what I'm going into it for. I just want something quick and easy to digest. So The Teacher is one of the latest ones of hers that I've read, and in this one we follow a couple of characters. We follow a married couple, Nate and Eve Bennett, who are teachers at a high school. We also follow a student called Addie. So prior to the start of this book, a teacher was fired because of a relationship that he had with Addie. Addie denies that anything inappropriate went on, but she was caught at his house a few times and he was tutoring her, and there was a few things that the teachers at the high school principal wasn't happy with, so he resigned sort of in shame, even though nothing actually happened. But stigma of what happened follows Addie around and she doesn't have many friends. She has a old friend from the previous year called Hudson, but he doesn't really want anything to do with her at the moment and we don't really know why. She's also being quite badly bullied by a group of girls. The main girl is Kenzie and they make her life hell. You know, they throw her lunch away after PE in the shower. She's in the shower and they shove her clothes in the shower, so she has to wear her stinky gym kit for the rest of the day because her clothes are sopping wet. And then the two teachers, we read from the perspective of the wife. So the marriage is not a very happy one. It's very transactional and very stagnated, so they only have sex once a month and it's very regimented, and there's just a lot of he kisses her 3 times a day, no more no less kind of thing, and it's just very stale. She's not very happy. She is actually having an affair. Addie is in Nate Bennett's English class and he invites her to join the poetry club that he runs after school, and she joins and then we kind of go from there. So Addie is also in Eve's maths class. So Addie has a good relationship with Nate Bennett, but she has a bad relationship with Eve. She's not very good at maths. There's a few occasions where she's caught cheating or things happen and Eve really doesn't like her. You can kind of figure out what's going to happen from there. I'm not going to say because I don't want to spoil anything, but I was shocked by the sort of latter half reveals of this book. So we get to a point where I'm sort of thinking what is going to happen here? I can kind of figure out the main crux of the fallout between all of these characters, but how are we going to resolve this? What's actually going to happen? And the sort of last 20%, I was quite shocked at what was going on and the reveals that we had. So we have, part 1 and part 2 and then part 3, and when we get to part 2, something quite shocking happens, and then we kind of shift where the narrative is going here, and then it shifts again, and then it shifts again. So the reveals were just amazing in my opinion. I've never read a thriller book quite like this, set in a school. I'm still quite new to the thriller genre. I'm still learning what I enjoy and things like that, but the reveals and the twists were just amazing. And even on the last page there's a twist and it's just oh my god, it was just twist, so good. Again, not the best thing ever written. I did give this one a 4-star rating. It's not the best thing ever written, but it was fun and it was what I needed. I read this within a couple of hours. It really did not take me that long. Just amazing, and I'm definitely going to be continue to work my way through Freida McFadden's back catalogue. It's definitely one of the better ones of hers that I've read recently. So yeah, I would recommend this one if it sounds interesting to you. It's really, really good, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, even better. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's basically free, girl math. So that is The Teacher by Freida McFadden. So again, 4-star rating for that one. The next book I'm going to be moving on to is The Guest by B.A. Paris. I don't know too much about this one. I've got 2 B.A. Paris books left to read and then I'm done with her entire backlist. So I will start reading this one and I will check back in when I've got an update for you guys. Hey guys, so I'm just checking back in. I have done quite a bit of reading this week that I need to update you on. First of all, I'm really sorry for the wonky camera angles. I really don't like this new tripod that I have, so I think I'm going to get a new one. So I'm really sorry about that if I'm on a wonk. So I have started and finished reading The Guest by B.A. Paris, and I've also started reading It Should Have Been You by Andrea Mara. So we'll talk about The Guest by B.A. Paris first. So in this one we've got quite a handful of characters. So we follow our main character Iris and her husband Gabriel, and they have a daughter called Beth, and then we also follow 2 other characters, are some friends that they met on their honeymoon 20 odd years ago called Laurie and Pierre, and we also have another couple that live in the village village called Esme and Hugh. Esme is pregnant and they also have a gardener called Joseph. So there's quite a few characters, and this book starts out with an explosion, then we go back sort of a couple of weeks and we go from there. Laurie turns up one day at Iris and Gabriel's house. Iris and Gabriel have been on holiday. They come home and Laurie is living in their house, which isn't really a big issue because when Iris and Gabriel go away, they often say to Laurie and Gabriel, you can stay in the house, and Laurie and Pierre do the same. And Laurie and Pierre live in Paris, and I think Iris and Gabriel live in the UK. It's not really explicitly said. So they find Laurie living in the house, and Laurie explains that she has just found out that Pierre has fathered a child and he's cheated on her and she needs some time away from him. So we don't know how old the child is, how long the affair's been going on, but Laurie is like refusing to talk about it really. So Iris and Gabriel say, of course you can stay with us, that's not a problem, blah blah blah. And then Laurie doesn't bring anything with her, so she brings no clothes, nothing. So she starts wearing Iris's clothes, and then we kind of go from there. So she basically she is like tied to Iris every day. Whatever Iris is doing, Laurie wants to be involved in, and Iris finds this very suffocating. She refuses to contact Pierre, like she won't try and resolve anything. So Gabriel decides that he's going to go and visit Pierre, and then Laurie gets wind of this. She goes to meet Pierre, and then things kind of go from there. So we also have the other couple, Esme and Hugh. So Iris meets Esme within the first couple of chapters. Esme's pregnant. There's like a 20-year age gap between Esme and Hugh, and Iris sort of thinks that Joseph the gardener is the father of the baby just because of a few comments made and things that she's seen. Everyone kind of gets tangled up in each other's business. So for example, like Laurie decides at one point she's never going to forgive Pierre because Pierre never wanted children and Laurie gave that up to be with him. So she feels very betrayed, and then she starts a relationship with like Joseph, but then there seems to be everyone's tangled up in everyone's business. So I gave this one a 3-star rating. It was good, but again with BA Paris books they do end really abruptly, so we kind of have a lot of everyone getting in everyone's business. So for example, Gabriel, Iris's husband, he's taken some time off work because his father died and then his dog died, and then he discovered a dying teenager at the quarry and he was there whilst this teenager died. He's really struggling with that. And then like Laurie is obsessed with this quarry and obsessed with this situation, and then it turns out Joseph may have known Charlie, and there's a whole thing with that. Like there's so many sort of like subplots going on with this story. It was quite hard to keep track of like every character and every plot line, and then we kind of like ended abruptly, and then we get this quite long epilogue revealing the twist and everything that kind of happened, and it kind of felt like the whole book was just a lot of people in other people's business, if that makes sense. Like it was fun to read, but it wasn't the best thriller I've ever read. I'm glad I've read it because I've now only got one BA Paris book left to read, but as I said, I do find her books end quite abruptly, and sometimes it's good, and in this situation I don't think it really worked well. We had so much of not a lot, but not a lot very interesting happening, and I think when you know the outcome, when you start a book with like a massive reveal of something that happens at the end, it kind of takes away the thrilling aspect and the exciting aspect of the book, in my opinion, because I know what's going to happen, I know what happens, so I'm just kind of, I don't want to read about it after the fact. I want to read the whole thing in chronological order because that's what keeps me hooked into the story. So yeah, I did enjoy this one. I did find the reveal a bit sort of like it was good, so there were hints along the way which was great, and I'm annoyed I kind of didn't pick up on them, but I was just sort of like, you just kind of reading and then you just like whacked with this whole reveal, and then the book ends, and it was just kind of like, I don't know, it wasn't my favourite thriller book. I'm glad I've read it. It was fun, it was quick, that's kind of it really. I don't think I'm going to really think about it anymore after this vlog update, to be honest with you. So then I started reading It Should Have Been You by Andrea Mara, and I'm definitely enjoying this one a lot more as well. However, this one starts the same way as The Guest, with a massive sort of reveal into what is going to happen, and we don't know how we get there. I mean, with The Guest you kind of see how we get there. It's kind of obvious in a way. With Andrea Mara, It Should Have Been You, I don't understand how we're going to get there. There's hints, but I'm like, are these too obvious? So this one, we follow our main character, Susan. She has a husband, she has a newborn baby who's maybe like 4 months old at this point, and she has 2 sisters, a couple of nieces, and that's kind of every main character in the story. So she's part of a community WhatsApp group, and one of the people in the WhatsApp group who is, right, so she's the mother of Susan's niece's bully, basically. So she says something in the group chat basically calling Susan out for like not doing anything even though she's on maternity leave. So Susan like screenshots her message and she means to send it to her sisters, and she says things like her husband's having an affair, her daughter is doing this, but she reveals like loads of secrets about the family, and like it's quite a nasty message. But it's the kind of message that you send when you're angry about something. You send it to like your sisters, don't you, or your friends, and you don't. Anyway, she accidentally sends it to the entire 300 person group WhatsApp, and then obviously she starts getting death threats. People are very upset with her, even though she told no lies. So we kind of go from there. Another aspect of the story is that in this town in Dublin, there's 2 housing estates that have the same name, and often Susan gets packages for her equivalent in the same street in the other housing estate, so they get mixed up quite a bit. And then this woman ends up being murdered like a day after Susan sends this message, and basically people think that whoever murdered this, I can't remember what this woman's name is, Suzanne or something, she's got quite a, or Savannah, whoever murdered Savannah meant to murder Susan. So she obviously think it's Celeste, the woman that she sent this nasty message about, or someone in the family, because she revealed the husband had an affair, she revealed something about all the children, all the teenage children. And then we kind of go from there. She's investigating what's going on. She also thinks her husband is having an affair, and we're trying to work out who the affair is with. For me, the breadcrumbs that we've got about that, I think it's quite obvious, but then I could be wrong about who it is. I feel like maybe she's setting it up to be one thing and it's not. I am enjoying this one so far. It's really quick to read. It's a really interesting concept. I think the whole sort of neighborhood drama thing is quite fun to read about, and like it's such a simple mistake that probably everyone's made, and then it turns into people dying, because not only has Savannah died, but the woman who was having an affair with the husband, and she's dead, and so is her husband. So there's 3 murders who they're trying to connect together. They think they might be related, but the only common denominator is Susan. Obviously Susan revealed everything about this message. Celeste's husband has nothing to do with Savannah that we know about, and things like that. So this one's really interesting so far. It's a really interesting concept. I've never read an Andrea Mara book before, but I'm definitely going to be reading all of her backlist. Is really good so far. I hope the twists that come are really interesting. Obviously we know how this is going to end, but I'm interested to see how we get there, and that's why I think that who the husband's having an affair with might be a bit obvious, but I don't know. We'll see how we go with this one, but so far I'm really enjoying it, and yeah, I'll check back in with you guys when I've got a bit of a further update on that one. Hey guys, so I just finished reading It Should Have Been You by Andrea Mara, and I'm going to give this one a 4.5 star rating. Not quite a 5-star for me, but it was fantastic nevertheless, and I'll definitely be reading more of Andrea Mara's book. This had so many twists and turns, and how everything linked in together made complete sense, but I also didn't see it coming. And what I said previously about the book opening with basically how this book ends, I take that back. I take it back. And I like when authors do it that way. Like I had an issue with it with The Guest by B.A. Paris, because it did kind of give away the ending. This one you had like a little snippet of the ending, but so much more actually happened. I thought the whole concept of like a WhatsApp message gone to the wrong person was so really interesting. Like we've all done it, haven't we? We've all sent a message to the wrong person, and how this one just, turned so many families' worlds upside down and just had a massive impact on people. Not through Susan's fault, but from what the information she revealed, how this then not made people do what they did, because she didn't make anyone do anything, but how this information influenced people's actions, and how some people just got caught in the crossfire. And yeah, just absolutely brilliant. So yeah, definitely really enjoyed this one. 4.5 star rating, absolutely fantastic. So now I'm going to start the final book for this vlog, which is going to be One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. Hey guys, I'm just coming in to wrap this reading vlog up, as I did start and also finish One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. So in this one, it's kind of similar to The Villa by Ruth Kelly, so I'm gonna try not to get those 2 books confused. They're just kind of a similar concept. So in this one, One Perfect Couple is a reality TV show, and we follow our main character Lila, and her boyfriend Nico is a wannabe reality TV star. All he wants is to be like a celebrity. He doesn't really have a proper job. She's a virologist, so this is really not her cup of tea, but she agrees to go onto this show with him because it's about couples, so he can't go on his own. He's approached by the producer of the show, and it's basically, if they're the perfect couple, they win a cash prize, but the cash prize isn't specified. So they do the interviews and they get onto this reality TV show, and it's set just on an island in the Indian Ocean, in a villa that's not quite complete yet. So when they get there, there's I think 5 or 6 couples in total, I can't remember exactly. So we've got Lila and Nico, we've got Connor and Zana, Bayer and Angel, Savannah and Dan, I think, and then Joel and Romy, or is it Dan and Romy? I can't remember who. Some of them are there's quite a lot of characters to keep track of, so it did get a bit confusing at points. So they meet all the other couples and then they get to this island. They have like the first day on the island. Nico gets evicted after the first task. So the first task, they have to answer some questions about themselves, like what's your favourite film, what's your favourite colour, what's your perfect date, blah blah blah, and then they have to answer what their other half would have put, and Nico scores the lowest, so he really doesn't know Lila at all, and Nico is evicted from the island, and then Lila is supposed to spend the night in the ever after villa with the person who answered most similarly to her, which was Joel, I think. So they spend the night in this villa. Nothing happens between them because obviously like the man's in a relationship and she is also in a relationship, and then there's a massive storm and parts of the island are like wrecked. They end up basically being stranded on this island. No one comes back for them. The crew are supposed to come back the next day to carry on with the sort of the tasks, the games, but nobody comes back for them. So they are stranded on this island and things start to happen. Characters start to die off and we kind of go from there. So this was a really cool book actually. I did give this one a 4-star rating. Like I said, it was quite a similar concept to The Villa by Ruth Kelly, but they were executed very differently. The Villa by Ruth Kelly really focused on the aspect of the reality show, whereas One Perfect Couple, obviously it was set in a reality show, but by the time the main plot started going, the reality show was kind of like done and dusted. We only had sort of one task and then they were all stranded on this island kind of thing. So I really enjoyed the sort of being abandoned on this island and how quickly characters started to turn on each other, and you were sort of thinking, who can we actually trust out of these couples, because you don't really know anyone. Like Lila, the only person Lila knew from this island was Nico, and Nico was gone, he was evicted, so she knew no one. So they kind of had to like band together, and it was a really good like analysis on being stranded on this island together. There was references to Animal Farm as well, which was really cool. But I really did enjoy this one. I thought the range of characters that we had were really interesting, and there was, you know, Ruth Ware kept commenting that about reality shows, there's the villain, and then there's the pushover, and then there's this person, and then there's the girl next door, and all of our characters like really fit into that, but you didn't know who was who really until people started showing their true colours. So yeah, I really did enjoy this one. It was really compelling. The twists in it were, I was sort of getting near the end and I was like, it's not really very twisty. There's no like plot twist in this really, apart from them being stranded on this island. That was the only plot twist, and then we get to the end and it's kind of like, I like how this all fit together. I liked that. So yeah, I gave this one a 4-star rating. I really did enjoy this one. This is definitely one of the better Ruth Ware books that I've read lately. My favourite I think is still One by One, but I think this might be actually my second. But yeah, this one was really good. So that is the end of this reading vlog. If you've made it this far, please don't forget to like if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.